so that others might see how it is to be free, free, free. Darn, there it is. Well, hey, good day to you kids. It's I, your old Grandpa Koyote, coming to you once again here from Crestone, Colorado, in the United States of America. What a crazy little place of being it is, but beautiful and poetic as all get out in its own right. You know, we've lived in a pretty harsh world. Life has been rather heartless for a lot of people. Excuse me a sec, I gotta grab a sip of coffee, you know. I gotta keep my tonsils lubricated, man. Guy should just bring that with him when he starts these things, and he wouldn't have to worry about it, you know. But here we are, doing what we do, and away we go. And gosh, we sure love you guys, and I hope that didn't rattle too loud on our microphone. But yeah, you know, and lately, especially with the advent of the full moon here, about the 28th of October, 29th, man, the energies, the powers were strong. And just about the time that big old storm comes sweeping up towards the east coast of these United States, energy was difficult and gnarly. There was something going on here of purification, and some beings just didn't want it to happen, while others did. But anyway, of course, we all know the prevailing energy, and that's the heart love, and it wins as usual, because it's what it is. It's simply consciousness, being aware of truth, truthful surroundings, truthful beings, truthful ideas, truthful activities, all of it, you know. That's really all planetary ascension is. Of course, along with truth comes peace. And that's why there's so many legends about the age of peace, the golden age, 1,000 years of light, and all of these kind of stories. There's elemental truth in those. But you know, our history with this darkness goes way back. The control exercised over human beings for thousands of years. Not just yesterday, not just 100 years ago, as the Illuminati slowly took hold of the United States, you know. Nah, this stuff's been here forever, it seems. Maybe 26,000 years. I'm not sure of the exact timing of it, but I know it's a cycle. And you know, we've talked about the dispensations, first, second, third, and fourth, and now moving into the fifth dispensation of humanity. Well, between the second and third was quite a devolvement for us. Went way down. Between the third and fourth, we're in the fourth right now, there was a huge war that ended the third. And pretty much ended it for humanity. There was only a remnant left, you know. But this was by design. It was pre-planned in spiritual sense, in spiritual terms. It was time for us to take another step in our devolution, to go down in consciousness. So this was the truthful beginning of the age of darkness. And certain entities and beings that come from the great beyond, the universe as you will call it, were given sway here. Were allowed to have control and manipulation of the human experience. Others were here right along with them, of a more benign and gentle nature, who were also our caretakers. Our keepers, in a sense. You know, it kind of went to their head, couldn't help it, but we were so devolved after that huge war. And the evidence of this war lives within your genes. It's been documented time and again, but no one dares reveal it just yet for fear of their lives. But this fear will dissipate as truth comes forward. And you'll know the whole story. I'll give you a little microcosmic part of it today, just to help you awaken. Help me awaken. Help us all awaken. We're in this together. Nobody's ahead of each other. No one should be put on a pedestal. And no one's left behind. This talk of division is just a continuation of the concept of duality, which is slavery for humanity. And if you think for a minute that's the way it's going to be, you're wrong. Look at the evidence. Yeah, there's a lot of tension in the air. Yeah, people are tweaking and kind of galvanizing or fractionalizing, you know, but baby, this is just part of letting go of the dishonesty that we've lived in. Everybody, without exception, has a great fear of the truth. But we're getting through that as we live through it. So I'm telling you, some 26,000 years ago, there was only a remnant. And the years can be variable. Who knows what the actual cycle is? But something like that. And remember, these are just stories. You take them for what they're worth. If they ring something inside of you, then you're there with it. And if they don't, okay, go watch, you know, a music video or something. Get your enlightenment there. It's beautiful. And that's what you should be doing. But there's been tremendous control that was begun in that 26,000 years at the beginning of this cycle. And these dark beings, because human beings after this war were so dumbed down that we weren't much more than a little tiny piece of economic slavery with a shred of consciousness left in it. And it took a long time to work our way out of that. So the dark beings gave us stuff to do, kept us busy while we were doing it. But they re-engineered us in that time of change between the third and fourth dispensation. This was allowed. It was part of our experience. This was the beginning of the great age of darkness. Before this, no matter how bad it had gotten, we'd been fairly enlightened still. In other words, we still had consciousness. We still knew who we were, our place in the universe. No more. With the beginning of the fourth, we were blasted past animal dumbness. And animals are a lot smarter than we are when it comes to awareness and consciousness, and they're constantly in tune with all of nature. Human beings were isolated and separated from the very nature that nurtured them, that brought them into being, that provided food and shelter for them, and kind of knocked back to caveman status. And some were guided off to different places and became guardians of different continents, and the beginnings of new nations were made that way. But the essential energy in the East remained in this place called Babylon, as it gradually, essentially built itself up and became this highly technological city. I know we're not supposed to, have ever been technological before, but gosh, the evidence is overwhelming that what we have been many times before. And in Babylon, the true science of human engineering came forward to a place of preeminence, in secret and dark places, of course, but the essential dynamic between male and female was messed with incredibly. I'm not going to go into the details, but I'll give you a little bit of it. Essentially, we were made to feel separate and apart from one another. And in the male, a divine wounding occurred that made him think he was alone and isolated from his mother. And the only way he could regain this was by somehow reigning supreme over her. And in the mother, a period of long doubt. Doubting yourself, made to feel less than confident in yourself, and then every behavior you make after that is a compensation for the inadequacy you feel on very deep and subconscious levels. In fact, the female presence even left for a while at the beginning of these dark ages. They weren't going to stand for it, but finally they understood and returned. It was only a short time, not a long time, but it did happen. And as you delve around into your own consciousness, you'll find stories such as this arising. You'll see the images. You'll remember the lives, the energy of them. Because it may or may not be that you were living there, but every life that's ever lived is accessible. The experience of it is livable by any being that is. It's like in a great big data bank in the sky, kind of, but it's inside your heart. All information and awareness is there. You can go and live any life, or parts of it, anywhere, anytime on this earth, and probably beyond it too, because a few of us are doing that already. But understand, you may or may not identify with that life personally. And in some cases you shouldn't identify personally, because you're looking at another person's experience. Yet it's yours because you are human. And if one person lives it, all beings have as well. That's the way it works. That's the state of consciousness to which we are returning now as these dark ages devolve. And enlightenment, in other words, recovery, comes into being. Rehabilitation, not just for the human soul and heart, but for all beings that live. There's a lot of weight in the balance here. That's part of the reason why there's so much tension. But understand, because historically, on this timeline, we've lived in this place of darkness for so long. We've seen ourselves in a certain way as essentially powerless beings. And we've been lorded over by others. Oftentimes, voluntarily, we let it happen. We want kings and queens to tell us what to do, shit like that. You know, we want a government to give structure and form because we feel inadequate. And why do we feel inadequate? Why do we feel so alone? Well, one, we're programmed to. And we've been controlled by essentially dark beings throughout this process. There are rules to the game. The caretakers were here to see to it that the rules were met. And that we didn't completely discorporate and become nothing but buzz and energy again and have to start all over. Which wouldn't be so bad, but it's a good thing we didn't. Now we're graduating from the age of darkness into the age of truth. You heard me right. Age of truth. A return to the fullness of consciousness in the human experience. Seeing all of the dynamics that are being played here. All of what you call levels and dimensions, which are essentially a singular life. Living in all these different forms of us. And truth, because we feel so inadequate and we've been alone for what seems like such a long time, and we've entered into a lot of dark and ugly and heartless practices, many of us, most of all of us at one time or another. Because of all of that, we're afraid. Our most essential fear is of the truth. And the second fear is that we'll never gain this truth because we're afraid of it. Now, how silly is that? But in our subconscious mind, things are kind of simple. It's A and B equals C. 1 and 1 is 2, and so forth. It's kind of simple and basic. So yeah, we've been made to feel very alone and inadequate, and we have taken huge measures to compensate for that. Huge. And we've all lived dishonestly. How are you doing today? I feel fine. Number one, the first comment usually isn't genuine. Number two, the second, the response usually isn't either, because darn few people are fine. And I love the little acronym for fine, you know. Fucked up, insecure, neurotic, and emotional. That's what a person's really telling you when they say fine. Well, for the most part. Once in a while it's actually true. But our ability to discern that, to know that, and to ask that question with care, That's consciousness. That's allowing the reality of truth to come forward in you. And baby, since we were little kids, most of the people, the parents around us, the adults, etc., even our own siblings, have worked almost tirelessly to make us afraid of the truth, so afraid that we won't speak it. I remember when I was a little kid, I could speak truthful things. I mean, talking 3, 4, 5 years old, maybe even a little bit younger. I don't remember exactly, but I had the innocent eyes, and I made innocent statements of truth. And I got shut down for it plenty of times. And I learned to turn it into kind of a sardonic little joke. So I'd make these honest little jokes, and I'd still hurt people. And people would quit their jobs because I said the wrong thing. A little kid, because I said the wrong thing. They misinterpreted or whatever. You know, we all have our insecurities and fears. Truth can even be a weapon, you know, a threat of truth. Makes people co-opt their whole lives, sell their souls to the devil, more or less, for fear that the truth about them might be revealed, not realizing that every human has the sickness. Maybe not the same application you do, but they have it. Dumbness. Everybody. That's why we think we're so weak. That's why we excuse ourselves for being human all the time. Because to us, human means weak, inadequate, unable to make proper choices, and we have to rise up and pull ourselves up by our bootstraps and get out of that. But even that's a dishonest lie. So is any reason? I mean, it's no wonder we fear the truth. And then you go to the deeper levels and you find out even the structure of the life in which you're living in isn't real. No wonder we fear the truth. Everything that we have established our faith and presence in this reality, for the most part, you know, of course there's a lot of us moving in a good direction, but everything this earth life, earth level reality presents to us for the most part is dishonest in some way. There's lies and deceptions everywhere you turn, and not just the Illuminati and the cabal that seem to run things. Listen, those guys are robots. They're programmed by essential darkness from the time they're tiny. They have no heart or consciousness left, or very little of it. But we're awakening that presence in them too. Truth is truth. And yeah, that's why there's so much fractionalization going on, families and so forth being pulled apart by all kinds of exotic arguments and mistruths and misunderstandings. It's the fear of the ever-present truth. We feel it. All of us as human beings feel it growing from inside of us. Most human beings don't know what it is just yet. They just feel the anxiousness and the need to release it. Let it go. Be done with it, whatever it is. Well, it's the dishonesty of darkness. There is no such thing as darkness. Light is prevalent everywhere. There is shading, there is contrast, there's various forms of living and various ways of living it, and many, many of them. But in truth, there is no darkness. And when you get to these deep and heartfelt levels, you'll see beyond the concept of evil. And you'll see that it doesn't exist anymore. And that it's only our fear that's given it presence here, that's allowed it to be evil. Because evil fears itself worse than anything. Fears what it can and can't do both. It is our fear, personified so that we can see it displayed before us in its most untruthful ways, its ugliest forms. And some of the darkest experience of your life might be happening right now. Because it's time for you to transition to truth, so you subject yourself to this darkness, to bring forward the light, to make the need, to create the need, fill the need, amplify the need inside of yourself, to know the loving presence of truth. Because truth is love and love is truth. And of course, when you're living truthfully, there is no conflict. Everything and everybody lives in total harmony. And the illusion of competition, conflict, dissolves away. The conflict is with the untruthfulness, with the dishonesty in which we've lived. That's essentially robbed us of life and the ability to feel it. And like I said, it starts in kids, because it's gone on genetically and historically for thousands of years now. Yeah, and in the last couple of hundred, we've sure amped it up. Yep. We've got it to a place where, shoot, it wanted to play out the ultimate, it thought it wanted to play out the ultimate destiny and destroy us all, once and forever, including itself. And in a sense it has. Because darkness has fulfilled itself here and brought forth the presence of light. We've played it to its ultimate extremes, and many times over. We've given it everything, all the slack that it needed to perform in such awful ways, so that our compulsion for truth would be so great that when it's lovingly presented to you, as it is now, there ain't no refusing it. You take hold of it in your heart and you cherish it. And that's what has come to occupy your presence as a part of your existence here. Has no choice but to embrace the truth as it sees it, because that's its greatest desire as well. Every being that lives is desirous of truth. Every being that lives feels the inadequacy, depending on what stage it's in, of course, of untruth, of living untruthfully, of living dishonestly, of being heartless, and having heartless beings rule over you. There's a conscious presence in each of us that causes us to care tremendously for one another. As you come to see truth, you can once again allow yourself to be as you were when you're an innocent little child, where you loved anything and everybody and all the experience in it. So the age of truth could also be called the age of innocence. How many of you have been able to preserve that innocence? People think you're naive. People think you're crazy. But if you've hung on to a little bit of that, you've done it for the benefit of all these that think you're nuttier than a fruitcake. And here you come now to your age, your time. And all that have belittled you and put you down and put you asunder will honor you for your strength and tenacity. Such is the nature of the presence of truth. So just recognize the fear inside. Don't be dishonest about it. Don't lie to yourself. Don't be in denial. Do these meditative things, meditative ways. Experience the truth of your heart. Know yourself. And you know everybody else. And no one can lie to you. Nothing can be pulled over on you. Truthful beings see truth. It's as simple as that. And yeah, that's the end of the world. The end of the age of darkness. God, ain't we blessed, guys? Isn't this a beautiful experience, no matter how bad it's gotten? I mean, can you look back over it now and appreciate what it's given you? No matter how tough it's been or how tough it is right now. Because it's extreme for a lot of us. I mean, shoot. The East Coast, gosh, we could go on and on. It's tough. But it's brilliant. It's beautiful in the way we're applying it. Because we're providing ourselves with the motivation that'll see to it. We never come back here again. Except to view it. To share that experience with others who might have inclinations in that way. And help them see the benefit and the blessing of what we've already lived. In this way, the human experience benefits the entire universe. And that's why they're here cheering us on. Don't believe all the channels you read or hear. Don't accept anything that doesn't ring truthful inside of you. When you feel it in this loving way, you know it's blessed. And you can accept all or part of it because you see the truth in it. And you can just let the others scatter away in the wind. The dishonest things. And you won't feel such a grudge against those who have lied to you for so long and have seemed to take advantage of you. Because they're not separate from you. We create our own tortures. We create our slaves and our slave masters. It's all the same being. The same person. It's just a different form of experience. And those, the slave masters, some of the toughest lives to live. To maintain that presence of inadequacy and darkness takes a lot. But we're here to help them gently let go of the illusion. And one thing I'll tell you before I sign off here. There's a lot of talk about a fake invasion. And yeah, we have people on Earth here that have these capabilities. They could do this. Could fake an invasion. A UFO invasion or a UFO greeting of some sort or another, you know. You're not going to be allowed to do it. Because we're moving in a truthful way. Everybody would see through it the moment they tried to pull it. That's why they haven't done it. Because they'd be further in our consciousness in one great leap. Because the choice of our heart, the human heart, has been and is not to allow it ever again. No deception. They understand these beings, the Dracos, the Greys, the Pleiadians, the Syrians, Arcturians. All of these beings have been present here and in play since we began these dark ages, and well before that we were in conscious communication with them then and traveled back and forth to each other's worlds. But since then, because we were so dumbed down, they've become invisible to us for the most part. They have to really work hard to maintain a visible presence here, so it doesn't happen that often. But it's because of us, not them. It's because we're so low in consciousness. They live at a little different level, a little different vibration. But as we awaken and come to see this truth, that life, and we'll remember it as we see it, and know the family in it, and know the heart of it, and everything will be cool and okay. That does become visible. All of it. No more hiding behind the clouds or the trees or whatever they've been doing. And you will know the army of beings that have been with you throughout your life and assisted you at every turn. Can you imagine anything more beautiful than that, other than seeing it on a huge and vast scale everywhere, across the face of this earth and beyond? And understand, this is our true way of being. We honestly care enough for one another to do more than lay down a life, but to live a life with another and encourage them ever onward. And there are many beings and presences that assist in this way. We're all, every one of us, all across the galaxy, all across the universe, as well as within and upon and above this earth. We're all in it together. But humans have their hands on the oars, and we're guiding the direction of it. And baby, we're honored greatly for what we've been able to do here. These beings we call darkness are aghast at how much, at the extremes, we've let them take us to. Yet here we are living and coming back to our truth. Baby, we are blessed, each and every one of us. Love you, babies. Rock and roll. And peace on earth, you betcha. And all over the place.